All right, next up, my dear friend, Grant Muller. So Grant runs the Grant Muller Group at Compass. His two-person team did 1.2 in GCI last year. Grant is a certified high-performance coach and realtor on a mission to help high achievers who have tried every tool and tactic to sell more, achieve more, and find more fulfillment, but aren't quite making the progress they desire. In his book, Top of the Heart, coming this summer, Grant shares his story of becoming a millionaire before 30, followed by a downward spiral that caused him to lose everything. By finding the humility to ask for help and the courage to get real, Grant moved past addiction and homelessness and built a remarkable real estate career as a consistent seven-figure earner year after year. Grant knows what it takes to sell and sell well, and it all starts with a heart-centered approach. He volunteers on the boards of One Colorado and Urban Peak to ensure all of us have help when we want it. When he's not coaching or working in real estate, you can find Grant competing with his horse and enjoying downtime with his husband and his Pomeranians. Welcome, Grant Muller.
I love this room because it's filled with great sound, because I like to talk a lot, but the lighting's kind of bad, so I look great in the dim lighting. So I'm going to have to just try this first. Go the other way, it's the opposite. There we go. So how to maintain business and generate listings in today's market. When I sat down and thought about sharing how to maintain business and generate listings in today's market, you know, I think it's a little bit of a trick question, today's market. What is today's market? And so I wanted to find today's market as the period of time from when we got shut down in lockdown for COVID to now. And, you know, Megan did a great job of talking through all the details and the ups and downs from day to day, week to week, to month, but we're in this broad market cycle. And when I remember sitting down when we got locked down during COVID, I was at my home office. I thought, this isn't going to last for a week. This COVID thing is just, you know, a fly-by-night thing. People are overreacting. And by the end of the week, I thought, this thing is going to last for 3 years. We're never going to sell real estate again. I'm going to have to move into the storage unit again. I'm going to lose everything. And so it was a real dramatic shift. And sitting in my home office, I thought about this question: how do I maintain business and generate listings? And I thought about what I've been doing since I've been in real estate. You know, in 2009, how did I maintain business and generate listings? It was a very different market. How did I grow my business between 2009 and now? And I realized it really came down to fundamentals. And this thing is the opposite of what you would imagine. Who plays tennis? Great. So in tennis, there are fundamentals. What's a fundamental in tennis? Forehand. Maybe how you hold your racket. What's another fundamental that gets tennis going? Eye on the ball. Great. Does tennis change in the rain? And that's a terrible example, by the way. Bad me. We don't play tennis in the rain. Let's say it gets windy. Do you need to worry about your eye on the ball in the wind? Does it matter how you hold your racket in the wind? So fundamentals remain regardless of the conditions. In fact, fundamentals get much more important as the conditions change, right? And so I thought about this and thought, I better think about what are the fundamentals in real estate? What are the things that have gotten me to where I am? Because the conditions are changing, which makes fundamentals much more important. So in real estate, negotiation skills, important or not important as conditions change? Conditions, yeah. Listing presentations, do we still do those in this market? Did we do them in 2009 if we were in business then? Sure. Will we do them tomorrow if the market changes again? Sure. What are other fundamentals in real estate? Customer service, that remains the same, right? Transaction coordination, do we still need to worry about that? Okay, my point is made. Successful people deal in truths. There are certain universal truths. Is gravity good or bad? Depends, right? So if you're walking through a 7th-story window, out an apartment building, gravity is bad. If you like to stand on the earth and not get sucked up into the universe, gravity is good. That's a truth. Gravity doesn't care if you like it or not. Gravity doesn't care if you're walking out the 7th floor apartment window or if you're standing on earth. Interest rates are a truth. Interest rates don't care about us. They don't care about what we're trying to accomplish. Inventory is the truth. Megan can tell us all the numbers, and I think it's really important to know that, but is there anything we can do really in the macro level about inventory? No. Inventory this is an issue that was created in 2009 when the home builders got really behind on building homes, and many other factors that are absolutely out of our control. So we can't do anything about those truths. But as I sat there thinking about how do I build my business and generate listings, there was a business fundamental that had carried me through from 2009 to grow my business to now. One key business fundamental, and I hope this slide, wow. Any guesses? Relationships. And through my career, I've had a really big influence and a really great mentor, and his name is Bob Berg, and he wrote the book, The Go-Giver. And that's the book that I've used to build relationships and to learn about how to build powerful business relationships. And these 5 laws of stratospheric success are truths, like gravity. And they're truths that you can enjoy or not enjoy. You can put into action or not put into action. They don't care about you. They're going to be truths whether you pay attention to them or not. So as I sat there, I thought, let's get back to the fundamentals. Let's look at the truths. And I'm going to share these 5 laws with you. They're very simple. They're not easy. The law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, not your true intrinsic worth. You're worth a lot because you're human beings, and I love you. But as a business person in the market, that's how your true worth is determined. The law of compensation, your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. The third law is the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Anybody up on the stage today has mastered that. That's why they have the business they do. The law of authenticity, the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. And the fifth law, the law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. So these are the 5 laws, and they've guided my life, my business. I just spent a week with Bob, and if you ever get a chance to do that, you should certainly do that. It's incredible. But I decided to focus on one, because I was sitting there preparing for bankruptcy. I was literally sitting there thinking, COVID is ending everything. I'm never going to sell another house. How am I going to impact my income? And your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So grab a piece of paper in front of you and just make a big T on the piece of paper. So on the left at the top, just write how many. So the first thing we have to figure out if we want our income to go up is how many people we serve. And there are 3 ways that we can increase how many people we serve. Number 1 is play the long game. As we just heard, buyers or sellers. Now, I know you're here today to understand how to improve your listings tomorrow, but I'm sorry to tell you that's just not how it works. So get to work now. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. So start to work on treating your buyers as sellers. Here's the great news. It's really, really hard to get a buyer under contract right now. What does that mean? That means that you're spending way more time with each of your buyers in this market. What does that mean? That means that if you're adding value, if you're great to them, if you put their needs first, you're building incredible relationships with your buyers that you wouldn't be building in other markets. So take advantage of that. Build the relationships. Stay in touch with them over time, and they will be sellers. And luckily in this market, as somebody just mentioned, some people sell in a year or 2. But you need to make a decision. Are you in this business for a year or two, or for 6 or 8 or 10 or 12? And if you're committed, you will build an incredible listing business this way. The second thing is to add value over time, as I just mentioned. So be the trusted resource. Don't just be the trusted resource about where to hire a plumber. Be the trusted resource about the best Mexican restaurant in town. Your clients who move here from Texas need to know that. Be the trusted resource about everything you can be the trusted resource about. Stay in touch with your people. And as I say, go from top of mind to top of heart. So spend real time with them, being a human being with them. Drop the realtor mask. Just be yourself. The third is to be referable. And there are 3 keys to being referable. I could spend the rest of the afternoon talking about them, but they are character, competence, and communication. So while you're with these buyers over way too extended periods of time, use the opportunity to show your character, your competence, and be a great communicator. So the second half of the T there is how well we serve them. And there are 3 ways that you can increase how well you serve them. Number 1, develop mastery. In my neighborhood, I do twilight photography. So the other realtors in my neighborhood said, oh, Grant's doing twilight photography. We're going to do twilight photography. So they started doing twilight photography. Why? Because I was doing twilight photography. But I was doing twilight photography because I get a 32% higher click-through rate on my social media ads when I use twilight photography. I get a higher return on ad spend when I use twilight photography. So what happened when they started using twilight photography? My numbers went down. So what did I do? I stopped doing twilight photography, and I do daytime photography. So now all the realtors in our neighborhood do daytime photography. But they don't get the idea behind why I'm doing it. And I tell this story in listing appointments all the time, and that's how I win them, because it's a mastery. Now, that's just a tiny piece of what I master. Can I master stats? Absolutely not your guy. I don't remember anything Megan just said. Not one piece. I asked her to send me, and by the way, best title rep ever. I asked her to send me, summaries. I can't even, I don't even get the summaries. So that's number 2. Play your game. That's the non-compete zone. If you know stats, you're going to win that game against me all the time. If you got your license last week, you can invest 10 times the amount of effort, concentration, and time with your sellers than I can. I don't have time. If your clients need someone with the best haircut in town, I can't win. So play your game. Figure out what works really well for you and play that game. The third piece, and this is the piece that I've spent my life really thinking about, and this is where I'm going to spend the second half of my life, is improving the product. You're the product that you're offering the marketplace. So think about personal development. I'm doing okay with time. So think about personal development. How can you improve the product that you're offering the marketplace? Mastery is one of the ways, but we do have time for 6 pillars of high performance. If you want to be a high performer, here are some things to think about with personal development. The first is psychology. Do the thoughts that run through your mind empower you or enslave you? Right? Do you have the belief in yourself to show up the way you want to in the world? Are you happy with your life? I mean, these are basic questions. Number 2, physiology. Do you have the energy? Do you have the stamina to serve your mission? Most of us have plenty of time. The truth is we run out of energy before we run out of time. And when you're done working, do you have the energy to show up at home the way you want to for your kids, your loved ones? The third is productivity. Productivity, it always comes up. But at the end of the day, are you distracted from your work, from your mission? Are you distracted from your family by your work? Both of those are really important. People. Do you maintain the relationships, the influence to bring people along on your mission? That's code for, do you get along with people so they give you referrals? Very key. The fifth is presence. So I've coached a lot of realtors, and I always tell them, I lunch for a living. I make almost all of my money going to lunch. And I teach them to go to lunch. It drives me nuts. But people show up at lunch differently. And when they weren't having the results I was having, I had to really ask why. And if the person that shows up doesn't have the presence, they aren't passionate, they aren't enthusiastic, they don't bring the joy into the room, they bring the negativity into the room. Oh my gosh, this market's impossible. My job sucks. They're not going to have the same results. So presence is everything. Work on your presence. And fifth is purpose. And for me, purpose is like mission. It can get fancy, but it's really about, are you living your life on purpose? For me, I had to get really real about that. I had to be truthful with myself. Yeah, I make a lot of money with buyers, but if I have to show one more house to one more buyer, I'm going to go crazy. You know, you walk in, you're like, yeah, there's the ceiling. Those are the stairs. I bet they lead down to what we call the basement. There's a sliding glass door in the back. It probably has a backyard back there. I can't do it. It's just not for me. So I had to get real and realize that's not my purpose. And that gave me the opportunity and freed me up, first of all, to find an incredible partner who's better with buyers than I am. And it freed me up to absolutely fall in love with the listing process. And so now I'm a better listing agent. So write these down. These pillars are awesome. If you want to know more, it's grantmuller.com, MULLER.com. Thank you.